Welcome to my YouTube channel. One of the things that I've come to realize with a lot of my pregnant clients is that they are lacking hearing positive birth stories. So I wrote this book. Well, this has been a combination of 28 years of being a doula and writing some of my clients' stories for them and them also gifting me their stories. The power of birth, stories to inspire, educate and empower is my contribution to bringing positive stories back into the world from women who had all sorts of experiences. There's various chapters in here. There's chapters on water birth and positive first births, stories from one woman who had 3 babies. There's even a section on women who were birthed in unusual places. That's a great chapter. And also women who have had successful VBACs, NBACs, H-BACs, normal births, H-BAC being home birth, and VBAC being vaginal birth after cesareans. Different names, but really positive stories. So what I am going to do right now is read you a story from my book. And on this channel, I'm going to read various stories at various times and put them onto this channel so you can listen at any time you wish to a positive birth story. So this is just a random story. It's called A Positive First Birth. This is how my labour went. At 1:20 a.m, Wednesday the 21st, I woke up with something going on and wondered if it was the curry I ate or contractions starting. I started chiming the sensations and they were coming every 5 minutes from about 15 minutes, then down to 3 minutes apart, and then for the next 15 minutes they stayed there. In next to no time, it seemed to be that I was having 2 contractions right on top of each other, followed by a 1 to 2 minute break. That's the great news story when we labour, is that we do get that break. That's a positive there. So it was now that I decided to call the birth centre. Gabrielle's lovely friend and midwife, Fran, answered. I had not met her yet, as she wasn't in my labour team, but Gabby had spoken to her one day whilst at a class. Fran listened to me having a contraction and said it sounded like things were getting going and it was time to get in the car to head to the birth centre. So hubby drove us calmly to the birth centre. I listened to Gabby's hypnosis scripts on my iPod on the way through every contraction as they were coming on fast. She guided me. It helped me really remain focused on opening and going within with each contraction and not freaking out. So that's an important fact there. Going over the Canning Bridge freeway exit, Matt said, I think we might need to get petrol. How inconvenient. Which was funny, but he quickly said, oh no, I think we can make it. We got to the birth centre and Fran greeted us at the door. I had about 4 contractions from a short walk from the car to the room, and Fran said, okay, I think things are moving along nicely. Once we were settled in, she asked if I wanted a vaginal examination. She explained that it was not just dilation they were looking for, but the thinning of the cervix too. I agreed to go ahead. It was tricky to do the VE with my contractions so close together, but it wasn't too bad. And when she said to me, you're 5 centimetres dilated, I stood up and looked at Matt and started to cry. I couldn't believe I was really about to have a baby, not just a bad case of curry tummy. This was my baby's due date as well, which is really special. My waters hadn't broken, which was wonderful, as I wanted them to go when they were ready and not be broken. Everything was really going amazingly well. Things got moving along even more so, and before long, I was experiencing 2 contractions with a 30-second break. Matt was feeling a little useless as I walked around, not wanting to be touched or massaged. I got in the bath, but it didn't work for me, so I got out. For some women, water doesn't work. They don't like being immersed in a tub, and this was my client. I then decided to go into the shower. Matt sprayed the water on me, which really reminded me to breathe through every contraction and make low, deep noises. It was a very intense time, and I wondered when I would get a break. My OB boy really wanted to meet his mum and dad, and when I went through transition, I called out, "Oh my goodness," as I went to sit on the toilet, jumping up quickly saying, "My baby is coming out." I then walked over to the mat on the floor and went down on all fours, leaning over the beanbag and cushions, and started to push. Matt spoke words of encouragement, and Fran kept telling me just to breathe and to work with my body and to keep me up to date with what was going on. I could hear in Matt's voice a sense of amazement and what he was seeing, and I knew I was doing well. OB's water membranes were still intact, and after about half an hour of pushing, he came out looking squished behind his stocking, as Matt described it, which is the membranes intact. Can look like a stocking over a baby. 3 more pushes later, his body was out, and Matt received him and handed our little miracle to me. Wow, what an experience. So there you go, a beautiful labour journey of a first-time mum.